Hi, everybody. Brian here. Welcome to the next edition of the Toromont podcasts. Today we're going to talk about diesel exhaust fluid, but we like to call it DEF because it sounds better. I've got a few facts and a few tips for you to share with you today, and all about DEF. So I was kind of shocked to see a statistic that off-highway engines in 2016 will consume roughly 76 million liters of DEF. Seems like a lot. But the really staggering statistic is this number is projected to go up to over 984 million liters in the next 5 years on an annual basis.
That's a whole lot of DEF, Brian.
That's a lot of DEF. I would say that DEF is here for the next while, and there's going to be a lot of it. So I know a lot of guys out there are going, oh, diesel exhaust fluid. You know what? It's just another thing I got to worry about. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, it's a necessary evil in our business. But what we're going to do is share a few tips for you today on DEF use and DEF storage. So, number one tip, always make sure you use diesel exhaust fluid that meets the OEM specifications. There is an ISO standard, ISO 22241-1 is the standard for DEF to be used in most off-highway systems.
Hang on. So is any of the manufacturers different, Brian?
No.
Okay, good. So they're all the same.
Most of the brands that are out there, the AdBlues, the TerraCare, the Blue DEF, they all have this ISO standard on them. They all meet this ISO spec.
Okay, perfect. So just don't buy it from Billy Bob in the corner.
That's right.
Okay.
And, the key thing is don't make your own. Yes, it's water and urea, but it's not exactly just water and urea.
Don't give them any ideas.
So always make sure you use DEF that meets ISO 22241-1. Second tip, know when to add DEF to your machine. Most DEF tanks have about a 1-to-1 fill ratio with the fuel tank in the industry. It's kind of a practice that when you fill the fuel tank, fill the DEF tank. Now, is it an exact 1-to-1 ratio? No. It's not. Most OEMs out there, in their literature, they will say that their diesel exhaust fluid consumption is anywhere from 2 upwards to, at the high end, 5 or 6% of what they'll burn in diesel fuel. But if you go by the rule of thumb of fill your DEF tank, when you fill your fuel tank, you never have to worry about running out of DEF. It's just a nice little tip. The other thing that's real nice is in the industry, the DEF tank lid is blue. It's a industry standard. It's very easily identifiable. When you see that blue lid on the machine, that is the DEF tank. All the OEMs have abided by that. That's one place where they all get along. It's a good thing. Number 3, know how to store DEF.
Brian, I've heard that this stuff freezes at minus 11 or something like that.
It does. DEF starts to freeze at about minus 11 Celsius, so you should try and store it in a controlled space. Ideally between minus 9 and about plus 25.
Okay, can I just leave it in the back of my pickup truck?
Well, depending on what time of the year.
Okay.
I wouldn't suggest it in the middle of winter when it could go down to minus 20 or it could snow and get covered in snow. You may find that your DEF fluid will be frozen in the morning.
Does anything happen to it if it does freeze?
Great question, Jim. No. Freezing and thawing does not affect DEF fluid. If it freezes up, all you need to do is put it into a place where it's going to thaw back out again, and then you can put it into the system.
Okay.
The tanks in machines...
Doesn't pour too well, though, when it's frozen.
It doesn't. When it's frozen, it's a little hard to pour. The tanks in machines on all off-highway equipment are designed to freeze and to thaw, to heat and expand. They're designed, they're poly tanks that are designed to be able to freeze, be able to thaw, and not affect the DEF fluid. So you don't have to worry about that. Just try and keep it between minus 9 and plus 25. On a job site, literally, a job site container in the wintertime with a light bulb in it will be enough heat to keep that DEF fluid thawed.
Cool. What about, I've heard about it can go bad or you shouldn't keep it in direct sunlight though too, Brian.
Not a great idea to store your DEF fluid in direct sunlight for a long period of time. That being maybe, 60 to 90 days, something like that. If it's out there for the week, that's not going to hurt it. Okay. But prolonged storage in high temperatures, not a good thing. That's right. All right. Now we got the storage down. Number 4 tip, and this is one of the big ones, guys. Avoid diesel exhaust fluid contamination at all costs. Contamination is going to be your number 1 enemy when it comes to your DEF fluid system. It can cause an increase in DEF consumption. It'll make the machine actually burn more DEF fluid. The components in your machine will be degraded because of impure DEF. And this can lead to, system failure, early system failure. You don't want to be replacing components before they're due. So guys, make sure whenever you fill up the DEF tank, clean around the fill neck, clean the dispensing nozzle every single time. And you know what? It shouldn't be any different than when you put fuel in your fuel tank. When you put oil in the oil filler cap in the engine, you should be wiping around that oil filler cap. You should be wiping around that fuel cap. The DEF tank cap is exactly the same. Keep it clean.
What about a container? I've heard people it's a good idea to have a container. I was thinking, I've seen it all the time on the job site. You have the old oil jug or something, just kind of give her a good wipe out. Can I use that?
Great question, and the answer is no.
Well, okay.
Even the most minute particles of leftover residue from oils will contaminate your DEF system. If you need to transfer DEF fluid from a bulk storage tank to a container to put it into the machine, use a container that's only going to be used for DEF fluid. Do not use a container, even wiping it out, even washing it out. You're still risk contaminating your DEF system. So
DEF only, dedicated.
DEF only, dedicated. Just like your red Jerry gas can, you'd only put gas in it.
Okay.
Right? All right. So guys, contamination, huge. The last tip, understand the impact of idle time on diesel exhaust fluid. You should always operate your machines according to what the manufacturer's recommendations are. Excessive idling is going to cause your system to regen more frequently. It's going to potentially cause system problems. It can cause things to gum up. Engines don't like to sit there and idle. They like to work. Okay, so minimizing idle time is going to save you fuel. It's going to reduce your maintenance costs. It's going to reduce your DEF consumption. And it's just better for your engine. So always follow the recommended idling practices from your manufacturer. All right, just a few tips for you. DEF fluid's here to stay, at least for the next foreseeable future. So if you handle it properly, it shouldn't be a big deal. Thanks for listening.